Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and today we are talking paying and we are talking winning in World of Warcraft Legion, because patch 735 went live last week, and you probably didn't notice, but it made some pretty big changes to the way new characters level through the old world and the time it takes to reach max level. Basically, it's like making a list of why Bill Cosby is your favourite all-round family comedian. It's considerably harder now than it might have been before. And this supposedly longer leveling process, combined with the existence of the paid max level boost, has got the community talking. Now, of course, a lot of the talk is stuff like, "We healers refuse to heal any leveling dungeon after latest patch hit live servers. We force too miserable life, heal very hard, run out of mana. Blizz spit in our faces and call it rain!" Which is, fine, but there is one question in particular which keeps raising its head at the moment that I find genuinely interesting and that I'd like to look at in more detail. Namely, is World of Warcraft now a pay-to-win game? After all, if you can buy a boost to max level, and if the time it takes to level a new character has been artificially lengthened, is it possible and indeed necessary to buy a tangible advantage over other players by dropping extra cash on paid services alongside the monthly subscription that you already pay? Or is patch 735 a revolution that revitalizes the game, making the leveling experience more fulfilling for new players and more interesting for the rest of us? And you know what, when we talk about winning in World of Warcraft, what do we even mean? Join us for this special Taliesin Talks. It's called that because it's a bit more talky than usual and because my name is Taliesin, as we tackle all of these questions and more and try to decide, is WoW pay to win now? Okay? Go. So before we get down to the nitty-gritty, let's make sure we're all clear on what's actually happening in World of Warcraft right now. At the time of writing, we are approaching the release of the 7th WoW expansion, Battle For Azeroth, which will have all of the new bells and whistles that we've come to expect from our 14 years playing this game. Yes, that's right, since you've been playing WoW, whole generations of Jake Paulers have been born and grown old enough to steal their mum's credit card to buy the flyest Team 10 merc. Fly means cool, by the way, and if you don't know that, you're probably just not cool enough. What are those? Or something. I'm relevant, okay? Anyway, we'll get new zones to explore, new mechanics and game features, new races to play, and as always, an increase in the maximum player level that you can reach. And in this regard, Battle for Azeroth represents an especially significant milestone, because the new level cap will be 120, or exactly double the amount that it was in vanilla WoW. And this presents a problem that no other MMORPG, no other video game in history has ever had to deal with, simply because there has never been another game aside from World of Warcraft that has been so successful for so long. And the problem is this: basically, there are 14 years worth of leveling content in this game. 14 years worth of zones that were added to be leveled through on your way to whatever the level cap was at the time, and which you'd never really play through again until the next time you level a character. And the sad truth is, most people these days wouldn't even do that. Because the thing about any MMORPG, and especially World of Warcraft, the most satisfying, involved, best designed, and most relevant content the game has to offer only even starts at endgame once you hit that max level. So raids, Mythic Plus dungeons, high-level PvP, this is all stuff that you only have access to after you've played through all of that leveling content. And as the level cap has doubled over the last decade, so Blizzard have decreased the time and effort that is required to get through that content and hit max level, to the extent where until patch 735, most of the player base approached leveling as you might approach a Michael Bay movie, where you bypass story, challenge, or any kind of brain activity in a rush to just get it over with and get to the good stuff at the end. Or in the case of a Michael Bay movie, just the end. That's fine, the end is good, that's good enough. As well as being confusing and boring to new players, this led to a feeling that there was a whole lot of content in World of Warcraft that was just going to waste. That most basic of RPG joys, leveling your character, had been wiped from existence with the backloading of content into an endgame that was constantly getting further and further away. And that's where patch 735 comes in. The main feature of 735 is level scaling, a new system that Blizzard introduced in Legion, where it was awesome. The leveling zones in the Broken Isles scaled between 100 and 110 with the level of the player. So wherever you were, enemies would always be your level. Quests would always award appropriate experience. And best of all, this meant that you could tackle those zones in any order that you wished. Level scaling isn't new to MMORPGs. Obviously, Star Wars The Old Republic was doing it as far back as 2008. But where WoW really nailed it is that although you can't out-level the zones in Legion, you can still out-gear them, which means that as you gain better armor and weapons, the fights do become easier, and you still maintain that sense of getting more more powerful, which is arguably the most important gameplay element of any RPG. Now, with 7.3.5, that scaling technology has been rolled out across the whole game and to all that old leveling content, so that within logical perimeters, you can now have the freedom to level in whatever zone you like, for as long as you need, to experience all of the story and lore that it has on offer before moving on to the next zone when you see fit. Okay, so the layout of the story in most of these zones is still a complete mess. Oh, hi Vol'jin, I thought you were, you know what, never mind, we don't have time. Pretty much everyone agrees that this is an awesome change, so GG Blizz, everything is blowjobs and strawberries once again, right? Well, no, because in tandem with the basic scaling, there's another change to leveling in 7.3.5 that some people aren't so happy about. Enemy mobs have had a general health increase, so they take longer to kill without awarding any extra experience. Heirloom gear still awards extra experience, but has had a power nerf, and the XP gain from dungeons is noticeably lower. Oh, and also, they're not the cakewalk event that they were before the patch, so take longer to get through, especially if you happen to continually wiping them, which frankly, it seems you might. Oh, and did I mention the massive nerf to the recruiter friend XP bonus? Because that's a thing, and I should probably mention that too. All of this makes for a leveling experience which is longer than it was before 7.3.5 went live. And it's worth pointing out here that as a general impression, I think a larger amount of the player base like this new scaling than are complaining about it, and it's easy to see why. There's a much better sense of accomplishment and progression to leveling now. Zones are there to be enjoyed and completed again, rather than something you fly through as quickly as possible. And at least the tiniest smidgen of that magic that you felt when you stepped into Azeroth that very first time is back. And I think all of this is true, but there is a counter-argument that making leveling more involved and lengthy is nothing more than a cynical move by Blizzard to encourage people to skip the process entirely and purchase a max level boost for actual real-life money. And although it's a minority opinion, it is not a small minority at all, including prominent YouTubers who say this is the moment where WoW becomes a pay-to-win game. So, next question, what is a pay-to-win game? Probably the easiest way to explain this is to take a look at a recent high-profile example of a game that definitely is pay to win. Now, I was going to use Black Desert Online as an example here, but frankly, I can't be asked with all that drama, so instead, let's take a look at a less controversial choice, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Loot boxes and microtransactions aside, Battlefront 2 gave players the option to purchase a premium version of the game that includes items that were significantly more powerful than items non-premium players had instant access to, and gave them a quantifiable competitive advantage from the moment they first booted up the game. In this case, the money you have paid has made it considerably easier for you to win. This is pay to win. In MMORPGs, like, oh, I don't know, let's just say off the top of my head, Black Desert Online, cash shop items can give you more bag space, faster leveling, and better prices on the auction house. More elements which are generally seen by the community as pay to win, even if they are admittedly less cut and dried examples. But where does WoW's level boost fit on this scale? Well, let's take a look. The boost allows you to bypass around 20 hours of playtime to get to a higher level on your character instantly. It awards you a modest amount of gold, a flying mount that can be used up to Mists of Pandaria content, and level-specific gear that you never earned in-game. So surely this is pay to win, just as much as Black Desert Online is, right? Well, before we answer that, let's look at what a level boost isn't. Throughout the relevant lifetime of Legion, the level boost took you up to level 100, a full 10 dings off max level, and that all-hallowed endgame content. A level boost was just enough to get you started at the very beginning of Legion, with all that content still to play through. Basically, if you compare that to Black Desert Online before it got its September expansion, the WoW boost got you to the equivalent of the very first moment you log into Black Desert, i.e. the beginning of the current content where you haven't gained any current upgrades or done any leveling in that content. And that is the stated purpose of the boost. It is worth mentioning that with the Battle For Azeroth pre-purchase, that boost now takes you to level 110, but at this stage all major Legion endgame content is out and certainly couldn't be described as competitive. So in my mind there are two important things to remember when it comes to the WoW level boost. One, it didn't take you to max level or give you anything that gives you an advantage over other players at max level. And two, everyone gets one. Yes, everyone who bought Legion got a level boost. Players didn't pay extra for their boost. They didn't have to choose a premium version of the game. Everyone paid the same amount to buy the standard version of Legion and get access to the new content, and everyone got a level boost, whether they needed it or not. No one had to pay extra for that. Unlike, say, the CR2 blaster in Star Wars Battlefront 2. If everyone is given it from the start, having it is not an advantage. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Taliesin, that may very well be true, but you're conveniently forgetting that you can still buy a boost any old time you like, and in that case, you are getting an advantage over those that level the old-fashioned way. It clearly is a pay-to-win service, you Blizz shill, fanboy, white knight, gatekeeper shill, fanboy shill, to which I say, that's actually a good point. You can indeed buy a level boost whenever you like for actual real-life cash money. And okay, so you can also buy it with in-game gold, which muddies the waters slightly, but let's ignore that and pretend gold is hard to come by and that real cash money is the only feasible way to pay for it. Is that pay to win? Well, let me ask you another question. What do you win? Throughout the lifetime of Legion, you bought a boost and you won the right to play Legion on a new character. You won the absolute bare minimum that you needed to start playing the current game. It didn't give you access to raids, it didn't get you into Mythic Plus dungeons or max level PvP. It did not even give you access to anything that could be considered competitive content in Legion, let alone give you a competitive advantage in that content. And yes, for a world-first Mythic guild like Method, buying level boosts to get any number of different classes to max saved them hundreds and hundreds of hours of game time, and that is a massive flaw in this argument. But most of us are not world-first raiders, and it's not because we can't afford to boost 12 characters to level 100. To the vast majority of players, the boost simply has no bearing on the current content in terms of giving them an advantage over other players in that content. And even if it did, I'll ask the question again, what do you win? At most, quicker access to an end game that everyone agrees is where the game actually starts. Yippee shit. So yeah, in case you hadn't guessed, I disagree that a store-bought level boost imparts any tangible advantage over endgame players at the start of Legion, because everyone had one, endgame players now, because the boost doesn't get you anywhere near them, or even a total noob just coming to the game for the first time, because if they've bought the game, they also have a boost that they can use at no extra cost. This is my opinion, and you are totally within your rights to disagree with my opinion, but I feel like at least I've justified it quite thoroughly. So on to the second and maybe more important part of the accusation. Are Blizzard purposely trying to push people into buying boosts by making the 0 to 100 leveling experience take longer? Is that the real reason behind the level scaling in patch 735? Well, you can't blame people for being cynical when it comes to this sort of thing. Everywhere we look in the modern games industry, AAA game developers are finding new and imaginative ways to encourage or manipulate us into spending more and more money on games that we have already paid for. And Activision, you know, of Activision Blizzard fame, are among the worst and most high-profile culprits. Destiny 2 was an awesome game, but also an absolute shit show of microtransactions, hidden experience caps, and generally nasty, greedy dickishness, and so I totally understand how members of our community can look at WoW, which we pay a monthly subscription to play, don't forget, but isn't averse to selling us extra stuff on top of that, and come to the quite reasonable conclusion that this new, harder, longer level grind is in fact a brazen and shameless way to get us to buy even more stuff from them, so we don't have to put ourselves through that nonsense. And I get it. I understand that point of view. I just don't really agree with it, and here's why. For that theory to stand up, there's one other important fact that you also need to be true. Saying that level scaling only exists to encourage us to buy level boosts only works if leveling is now less fun than it was before scaling was introduced. And the thing is, I don't think it is. In fact, quite the opposite. I think the scaling makes leveling more fun, and therefore I'm less likely to buy a level boost. Now, this is purely a subjective opinion, obviously, but as I said earlier, I think it's an opinion that a small majority of the player base share. And yes, it may take longer, but that doesn't mean that it's harder to complete. In the last episode of the Weekly Reset, I used this example. Is it easier to watch 12 hours of Breaking Bad or 2 hours of Paint Dry? Which are you more likely to actually do? For me, I would say watching Breaking Bad for 12 hours is easier and therefore the preferable option. As an activity, it takes longer to complete, yeah, but it's still easier because it's more entertaining. And furthermore, if I could pay to skip one of those activities, then I'm more likely to want to bypass 2 hours of watching paint dry than I am 12 hours of watching Breaking Bad, even though I've already seen every episode of Breaking Bad multiple times before. And that's the way I look at it. As a player, I'm more likely to play through 20 hours of interesting leveling, I'm more likely to skip 10 hours of boring, mindless leveling. So if 735 makes questing more interesting, and I maintain that a small majority of players think it does, then surely that is the opposite of encouraging people to buy boosts. And if Blizzard's devious evil tactic to sell boosts is to make the leveling content more interesting, then frankly, I think they are shit evil geniuses, that's all I'm saying. And look, let's not be naive, I think that Blizzard will sell more level boosts as a result of these changes. Yes, of course they will. A large minority of players hate the new leveling and will pay to skip it, but I wouldn't mind betting most of them hated leveling before 735, but put themselves through it in a way that they aren't willing to do now that it takes longer. So we've gone from a position where the vast majority of people hate leveling but do it anyway, to a position where loads of people really enjoy leveling leveling again and are less likely to buy a boost, and where those that still don't enjoy it are more likely to buy boosts than before. That is a trade-off, but I don't think it's a cynical trade-off on Blizzard's part, because they've purposely made something more fun for the majority of players. Isn't that like the opposite of what we're accusing them of? And then there's the argument that capping the Recruit a Friend XP boost at 50% hurts people who want to level with their friends, to which I would argue that level scaling makes it easier to level with a friend than ever before. Now, for example, a level 54 player can level in a group with a level 34 player in the same zone at the same time, and both still earn relevant XP. That is a massive improvement to before 7.3.5 was introduced, much more social and much more forgiving to new players to boot. How can that not be a good thing? I understand a lot of the frustration with patch 7.3.5 in general. It was clearly put out before it was ready, probably because the Battle for Azeroth pre-purchase and allied races are hot on its heels, but for whatever reason, it did have a huge number of really stupid bugs. There were clearly things wrong with level scaling as implemented, which are still being ironed out. All of these are valid criticisms that deserve to be taken seriously, even if we can and should laugh at individual cases of hyperbole along the way. But when it comes to the idea that this is some watershed moment where WoW has now become pay to win, suggests that a system that mostly improves the game in so many ways, in ways that so many people have been asking for so long, to suggest that at its heart, level scaling is nothing more than a cynical attempt to sell more paid services is, in my opinion, at best knee-jerk and at worst plain disingenuous. I'm not saying you're wrong if you hate level scaling. I'm not saying your reasons for hating it aren't valid and true for you, but I can't agree with the idea that the whole thing is a massive cash grab push to sell boosts. How could I say that with a clear conscience when I know that these changes make it less likely that I'm gonna buy one? What do you think, guys? Does 7.3.5's level scaling improve the game? Does it enrich the soul of World of Warcraft, or is it like another entry into the long list of microtransaction crimes that big publishers have been pushing on us? You know my opinion, but what's yours? Let us know in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today for this rather unusual Taliesin Talks. It's not the video that we planned for this week, but I was just so fascinated by all of the conversation happening around this topic. I just wanted an opportunity to kind of talk about it and work it through for myself as much as anything else. So, I don't know, hopefully it was okay to listen to in the background or something like that. We'll be back with the new episode of the Weekly Reset on the weekend, as always, and a more traditional, more heavily edited, meme-filled Taliesin and Evitel essay video next week as well, so join us for that. If you did enjoy this video though, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give their actual real-life money to help these videos happen. Guys, without you, there would be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel, so thank you. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it, and remember, my name is Murgle. No, my name is Taliesin from me and Evitel. Until next time, cheerio.